CreepyCorner stories.
Hey folks, before we dive into tonight's stories, I want to give a huge thank you to Kieran Tibbetts and Lisa Collin for supporting the channel and being amazing members. If you'd like to help me keep creating these stories, feel free to become a member. It really helps the channel grow. I'm planning to continue exploring more than just the dark web tales, so if you enjoy what you hear tonight, you're in the right place. Now, grab your headphones, turn off the lights, and let's step into another amazing night with you and me together. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below. It means the world to me and helps keep the horror alive. And tell me in the comments, what kind of story hits you the hardest? The ones that feel too real, or the ones that could actually happen to someone you know? I am a dark web hitman. I don't kill my victims. I just make them famous on the dark web. Yo, what's up Reddit? I've been holding this in for like over a year now, and I really don't know who else to tell. So I figured r/no sleep. This might be the place. Especially since no one I know in real life would believe me. This isn't some creepy dream or I heard a noise type story. This is real. It happened to me. And if you're the type to go poking around places you're not supposed to, especially on the dark web, then you really need to read this. I'm not a tech genius or anything. I'm just a dude. 24. Work from home IT support guy. Not flashy, not famous. Definitely not the kind of guy who would get caught up in something this messed up. I live in Milwaukee. Go to Starbucks almost every day. Play Valorant when I'm off work. Scroll TikTok like it's a religion. I keep up with the usual. Reddit, Discord, Twitch, Instagram. I'm just another face in the algorithm. But that changed after one DM. So about a year ago, I was on Discord, hanging out in the server that was full of tech nerds and deep web enthusiasts. Nothing too illegal. Mostly just people talking about Tor, cybersecurity, weird forums, urban legends, etc. Sometimes they'd link creepy onion sites just for fun. You know the vibes. One night in May, about 1:42 a.m., I get a DM from a user I'd never talked to before. Username was at voidhunter_23. No profile pic, no mutual servers, just a message. Want to see something viral before it goes viral? Now, I've had scam bots DM me before, but this one felt different. There was no link, no promo, no BS, just that one cryptic sentence. I didn't respond right away. I was half asleep anyway. Then, 5 minutes later, another message popped up. She made the mistake of opening it. You don't have to. I'm not gonna lie. I was curious. I screenshotted it, posted it in one of the server channels like, yo, who is this creep? Everyone was just like, block and move on. But one guy, someone I trusted, I'll call him Theo, replied privately and said, dude, that's one of them. Don't click anything they send. Don't even engage. They're part of that LiveNet ring. I asked what the hell LiveNet was, and that's where the rabbit hole started. LiveNet is apparently this invitation-only section of the dark web. Not just a site, more like a network, hidden behind layers of encryption that go way beyond regular Tor browsing. It's where the real messed up content lives, according to Theo. Not gore, not torture vids, nothing that obvious. More subtle, more psychological. Stuff that doesn't look illegal on the surface, but feels wrong. Like you're watching someone's life fall apart in real time. It's mostly surveillance content. Real people, real lives. unfolding like reality shows, but without their knowledge. Think The Truman Show, but the people being filmed have no idea they're being watched. They're monitored, followed, manipulated, pushed into dark choices, and it's all streamed anonymously to an audience of the worst kind of people. Some of the channels are apparently called things like Witness Me, The End Game, Famous Last Weeks, and one channel was allegedly titled I Made Them, which would have sounded dumb if Theo hadn't said that's where Void Hunter _23 was supposedly active. Naturally, I was freaked out, but I couldn't just ignore it. Curiosity got the better of me. The next night, I opened a private Tor browser connected to my VPN chain. Don't ask how I got it so layered. Theo helped, and decided to poke around. Not to watch anything, just to see if this stuff actually existed. And after a few hours of digging through forums and .onion directories, I found a blank white site. No title, no buttons, just a single input box and a submit button underneath it. The placeholder text said, "Enter your username to be seen." I should have closed the tab. I should have shut down my whole damn PC, but I typed it in. Just my usual online alias, m4thew.exe, and hit enter. That's when the screen turned black for like a full 10 seconds, and then the video feed started. What I saw wasn't footage from a far-off place. It wasn't some sketchy apartment in another country or a shadowy figure torturing someone in a basement. It was my neighborhood, a live feed, from a drone maybe, floating high above the block, and then zoomed in on my building, my actual apartment complex, then my window, then me. The webcam on my screen flickered on by itself. I could see myself from both angles, looking at myself, like some kind of live stream mirror. I yanked the power cord from my PC, hard. The whole thing shut off instantly. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I went to the Starbucks on Brady Street to clear my head. Ordered a vanilla iced latte, sat in the corner with my AirPods in, trying to calm down. Told myself it was a hallucination, a prank, that Theo was trolling me. Until I got the next DM. Same user. "You looked great on camera last night. The audience thinks you'll be a hit." There was an attachment, a photo, of me, from behind, taken at Starbucks, from less than 10 feet away. Let me know if I should keep posting this. Things only got worse after that photo. And if you've ever talked to someone named Void Hunter _23, you seriously need to block them now. You might already be on the show. When I got the photo of myself at Starbucks, the one taken from right behind me, I didn't go home. I couldn't. I just sat there, in that same spot, scanning every face in the shop like a maniac. Nobody looked suspicious. Nobody was even looking at me. But someone had been. Someone had gotten that close, and I didn't even feel it. I walked out fast, phone in hand, heart punching holes through my ribs. The second I got back to my car, I locked the doors, started the engine, and drove. Nowhere in particular, just anywhere that wasn't there. I even turned my phone off, took the battery out, something I never thought I'd have to do unless I was in a spy movie. I ended up sleeping in the back of my car in a Target parking lot that night. The next morning, when I turned my phone back on, there were 38 unread messages, all from @voidhunter _23. No text, just videos, each one between 30 seconds and 3 minutes long. I tapped on the first one with a trembling thumb. It was footage of a girl. Looked like she was maybe 17 or 18. She had short red hair, braces, and a hoodie that said UCLA. She was walking out of what looked like a CVS somewhere in Arizona. The video had zero editing, just raw footage, shaky, handheld. You could hear the breath of whoever was filming, like they were inches from her. She had no idea. Next video, she's in her room. Same girl, sitting on her bed, crying. You can't see who's filming, but the camera's inside her room, hidden. She's on a FaceTime call, whispering something about, "They keep sending me pictures of myself sleeping." Next clip, she's screaming, running through a Target at night, security chasing her. She knocks over a display, slips, falls. The camera laughs, but not like a person. It was digital, distorted, like someone ran laughter through a voice filter and then corrupted it with data static. Clip 12 was the last time she appeared alive. Clip 13 starts with police tape. Her apartment, door broken in, a body bag on a stretcher, news playing on the TV in the background. Her face. Missing teen found dead in apparent suicide. But I watched her scream. I watched her run. I watched her beg. She didn't kill herself. She was killed for views. I watched all 38 videos in the front seat of my car, engine running, hands shaking so hard I dropped the phone 3 times. Some were of her. Some were of other people. Different ages, different states. Always normal people. Working at Walmart, eating at McDonald's, picking their kids up from daycare, doing TikTok dances in their rooms, watching Netflix, walking home from school. And then the spiral begins. The stalking, the leaking of their private info, the screenshots, the phone calls, the gaslighting, the way their families stopped trusting them, the way police start ignoring them. Each story was like a mini horror film, but real, unedited, messy, human, terrifying, and always ends the same. A mugshot, a funeral, a news clip, a 10-second black screen with white letters that say, "Thank you for watching. They're famous now. I tried calling Theo. No answer. I tried texting. Nothing. I checked his Reddit and Discord. Deleted. I went to the tech server we were in. It had been nuked. Gone. Not a trace. I thought maybe it was over. Maybe I dodged the bullet. Maybe it was just a sick prank. Maybe. Until I got the second package. Yes. Second. First one came 2 weeks before all this started. I didn't even think about it until later. It was a flash drive in a small black envelope with no return address. I thought it was junk, tossed it on my desk, and never opened it. But now, after the videos, I remembered it, plugged it in, password protected, one file, named M4TTH3W.exe. I used my alias as the password. It opened immediately. Inside was a single video file and a document. The video? Me. Not from my webcam. From across the street. Filmed through my window. For hours. Sped up. Watching me eat, sleep, change, pace, cry. Zone out watching Twitch. The doc? A list. Not of names. Of addresses. And next to each one, a timestamp. I counted them. 11 addresses. 11 timestamps. One of them was mine, with today's date. 11:47 p.m. It was 10:03 p.m. when I opened the file. I called the cops, told them someone was stalking me, that I had proof, that I was in danger. They put me on hold. I hung up, grabbed my hoodie, my car keys, and bolted. Didn't even lock the door. I drove to the most crowded place I could think of that late at night. The airport. Sat in the baggage claim area, surrounded by people, bright lights, cameras everywhere. I thought I'd be safe there, until the intercom turned on. You know the automated voice that calls passengers for boarding? Yeah, that one. It came on, and said, "Passenger Matthew E., traveling to nowhere. You've already been seen. Your audience is waiting." Every person in the baggage claim turned and looked at me. Blank faces, not shocked, not confused, just watching. When I got back to my apartment the next morning, the door was open, not broken, just open. Lights were off. Everything inside looked untouched, except one thing. My monitor was on, static on the screen, text overlaying it. "Final audition begins tonight. Don't disappoint us." Edit. I haven't slept in 3 days. There's a car parked outside my building that hasn't moved. Same license plate every day. No driver ever gets out. My Wi-Fi keeps connecting to a network called LiveNet_view_02. My webcam light flickers at 3:17 a.m. exactly every night. I tried throwing my laptop in the dumpster 3 blocks away. I came home and it was back on my desk, playing a new video. Me, sleeping, last night. If you've ever seen someone DM you saying you'd go viral, block them, delete everything, smash your devices, because if they want you, you've already been cast, and you're next. They say when you're being watched for long enough, you start to feel it in your bones. Like your body develops a second nervous system, one that doesn't care about logic or sight or sound, just fear. It twitches, it senses, it knows. By the time I realized I was being hunted, that second system was already screaming in my spine like it was on fire. Let me take you back to 3 nights ago. That was the last time I thought maybe I could survive this. Now, I know better. Now, I know there's no getting away from someone who already owns your image, your history, your location, your face, your soul, and who's already packaged it all into a file, ready to premiere to thousands of faceless creeps on the deepest, darkest show on the dark web. They don't kill you. They break you. They edit your life into a horror series, and they let the audience decide how your story ends. It started with my reflection. I was staying in an Airbnb out in Wauwatosa, a safe suburb about 30 minutes from where I used to live. Booked it last minute with cash through a burner account. No name, no ID, didn't use my phone. Used a laptop I found at a pawn shop and wiped it clean. I was careful. But as I was brushing my teeth that night, I noticed something. In the mirror, there was a shadow. Not behind me, inside the mirror. I know how crazy that sounds. I turned around. Nothing. But in the glass, something flickered. A glitch, like pixels twitching. I leaned closer, squinting. Then I saw myself blink. But I didn't blink in real life. The reflection did. Out of sync. I stumbled backward and knocked over the soap dispenser. I watched my reflection smile while I stared, frozen. Then the lights went out. I didn't scream. I didn't even breathe. The blackout only lasted 2 seconds. But when the lights came back on, the mirror was black. Just pure black glass, like it had turned into a screen. And on it was one sentence. You are no longer in control of your perspective. That night, I dreamed about the girl from the video. The red-haired girl who was being stalked. But in the dream, she wasn't crying. She was smiling, talking to someone just off-screen. She whispered, "They edit out the pain. They only show the good parts. They say I looked beautiful when I died." Then she pulled back her hoodie. Her eyes were missing, sewn shut, black cords running from the stitched sockets into a webcam embedded in her skull. She said, "Smile for the highlight reel." And then she lunged at me. I woke up in a scream so loud, I bit my own tongue hard enough to bleed. The next day, I decided to go to a public library in Madison to use their computer and send proof to the authorities. I uploaded one of the stalker videos to an encrypted USB drive and took it with me. But when I plugged it in, every single video had been corrupted. The file names had changed too. They now read stream1 ready.mp4, m4 tth3 wlivefeed.mov, trailer complete final cut.mkv. That last one hit me in the gut. I opened it. It was a movie trailer for a fake documentary. Only, it was real. It was my life, cut into pieces, set to eerie music, titles splashing across the screen like a horror flick. A man with nothing left to hide, except the fact that he's already dead. Live from the dark. Coming soon. My name was listed under the title. So was my birth date. And a new line at the bottom. Premieres October 20th, 11:47 p.m. CST. Exclusively on LiveNet. That's this Friday. So I ran again. I ended up in Chicago, hiding out in a basement Airbnb that looked like it hadn't been cleaned since 2009. Still smelled like mold and regret. I duct taped the windows, took apart every smoke detector, covered every camera. I even unplugged the microwave because I wasn't sure if it could be hacked. And still, that night, I found something taped to the inside of the fridge. A photograph of me, sleeping, naked, in that exact bed I was renting. Underneath the photo, handwritten in Sharpie, perfect shot for episode 1.0. I don't know how much longer I have. The internet isn't the internet anymore. Everything I do gets glitched. Emails disappear before I hit send. Calls drop the moment someone picks up. Even my thoughts feel compromised, like I'm just reading from a script that's already been written, like none of this is even live. Last night, I woke up to a low humming noise, almost like a generator. The entire room was bathed in a dim red glow. I looked around. Nothing. Then I saw it. There was a camera lens inside the smoke detector. A real one, not a standard fire alarm. I hadn't checked it earlier because I assumed it was off-brand. I ripped it out. Wires snapped. And then I heard clapping, coming from behind the drywall. I pressed my ear to the wall. Laughter. Dozens of voices, like a live studio audience. One of them whispered, "Episode 1 was a hit. Wait till you see how he dies." I found a note slipped under the door that morning. It wasn't handwritten this time. It was typed, very neatly, on clean paper. "Matthew, we don't need you to die. Not yet. But we do need your cooperation. The finale must be unforgettable. Do what we ask, and your suffering will be legendary. Disobey, and we'll bring your mother into the next season." The showrunner. I haven't spoken to my mom in 6 months. Not since her Alzheimer's got worse. She's in a memory care unit in Cedarburg. Doesn't even remember who I am most days. So how the hell did they know about her? I called the facility. They said she had been discharged 3 days ago, but she wasn't picked up by me. She was picked up by a man in a gray suit who claimed he was filming a documentary about digital memory decay. They even signed the guest sheet with a fake production company name, LiveNet Studios. I don't even know what's real anymore. I thought I saw a child's face staring through the vent in the bathroom last night. When I opened it, there was a GoPro wedged inside, with a sticky note attached. Always be filming. This morning, I woke up with a USB port stitched into my arm. No, I'm not joking. My left forearm was bandaged, and when I took it off, I saw actual stitches surrounding a tiny square of metal embedded in my skin. I couldn't pull it out without tearing the muscle. There was a QR code tattooed next to it. I scanned it with a burner phone. It led to a countdown page. Live finale in 72 hours. Viewers 14,209 and rising. Location Chicago. IL victim M4TH3W.exe. Do you understand what this means? I'm not just being watched, I'm being programmed, edited, controlled, scripted. There are seasons of victims before me. Thousands. Some of them probably just disappeared. Others branded as schizophrenics. Others locked away in psych wards. Some ended up in viral paranormal footage, compilations on YouTube. The show has always been on. We just thought it was content. Final note. I opened the laptop just now. It wasn't mine. I don't know where it came from, but it was on the desk, open, with a text editor window already loaded. The file is titled Final Confession, Episode 10 of 20. Everything I just typed was already in the file, word for word, and at the bottom, a final line I didn't write. Thank you for sharing your story, Matthew. You've been so much fun to watch edit. They just turned on my webcam again. I can hear the static humming through the speakers. And now there's a voice, just one, whispering in reverse. Look behind you. I won't. If I do, the episode ends, and they win. But maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's how they get the perfect final shot. You ever hear your own scream on tape? Not in a movie. Not in a joke video. Your real scream. Raw. Panicked. Animal. That sound that comes from your throat when something unnatural is standing 4 feet away and smiling with your face. I heard mine 16 times last night. Each one edited differently. Different filters, different background music. Some had jump cuts. One had subtitles. All of them ended the same way. LiveNet Original M4TTH3W.exe, The Meltdown. It had 3.2 million views. Let me back up. After the confession, I did something I hadn't done since this started. I ran toward it. Not out of bravery. Not because I thought I could win. Because I wanted to see how deep it went before they erased me. I still had the burner drive from the archive, and on it was a corrupted file, just a mess of static and broken code, until I ran it through an old data recovery program. What I found wasn't a video, it was a timeline, not just of me, of everyone, a spreadsheet mapping every person who had been featured, thousands of names, ages, locations, all categorized by something called Impact Index. At the top, a tab labeled Editor's Cut, Do Not Broadcast. It was like a Bible written by a serial killer. The editor's cut wasn't made for viewers. It was made for them. Internal use only. A reference guide to all the content that wasn't meant to be seen. The pre-episodes, the raw breakdowns, the moments before the season starts, and what they do to people before it ever goes public. You don't just get cast, you get rewritten. I found a name I recognized. Riley K., my ex. She'd moved to Portland. We hadn't spoken in years, but there she was, listed as a potential collateral star, assigned a handler, assigned a narrative outcome. They called her Arc, the Grieving Echo. Under that, Emotional Detonation Trigger, Episode 3. She wasn't even going to be the star. She was just fuel for my descent. There was a camera feed labeled Pending Activation for her. When I clicked it, she was in her apartment, cooking, alone, unaware. But in the top corner of the feed was a countdown. Live in, 3 days, 14 hours, 9 minutes. Underneath it, audience wager. Will she visit Matthew before her event? That word, event. They don't kill people. They design them to self-destruct. I tried everything. I called her, blocked, texted, no delivery, emailed, bounced back. Her accounts were already being modified, photos removed, bios changed, status set to deactivated. They'd begun scrubbing her out before the story even started. She was just a canvas to them. Another side character with a fate decided by audience votes and cold editors behind locked doors. I drove 23 hours straight. By the time I reached her apartment, the countdown had dropped to 12 hours. I didn't knock. I climbed the fire escape and broke in through her kitchen window. And that's when I realized they were already filming. Cameras weren't visible, but the second I stepped inside, my phone lit up with a silent notification. Welcome to LiveNet. Bonus stream activated. The Reunion. It was already titled. They'd already named the episode before it happened. Riley was in the living room, sitting on the floor, crying into her hands. Not because of me, because she'd gotten an envelope that morning. Inside was a flash drive, and on it was a voice recording of me, begging for her help. Only, I'd never recorded it. They had stitched it together from old voicemails, YouTube clips, gaming streams, even our old Discord calls from 2018. They'd built a version of me to ask her for help. And when she answered that call, they turned it into evidence. They made it look like she was part of a conspiracy, the kind of bait clip that floods Telegram and Reddit threads with captions like, "Proof they always knew." Out of context screenshots of her laughing, a clip of her defending me in a group chat, a Google Calendar showing she once visited my city. The caption on the leak, "She protected a killer. Now she'll become one I tried to explain." I sat down with her, told her everything. No scripts, no drama, just the truth. She believed me for about 3 minutes, until the TV turned on by itself and started playing a deep fake of her shoving someone down a flight of stairs. Her own voice, screaming, her face distorted with rage. It looked too real. It was perfectly timed. And then the news feed glitched. Suddenly, it was showing her apartment door. Live. Someone was outside, knocking. The voice on the intercom was a man, calm, soft-spoken. He said, "Riley, your scene starts now. Please make sure Matthew doesn't leave. Your bonus depends on it." We didn't speak. We just stared at the door. I knew that voice. Marquis, one of the producers. He'd found us. Riley grabbed a knife from the kitchen. I told her to put it down. She said, "I'm not going to hurt you." I said, "I know." She said, "I'm not talking to you." Then she walked to the door and opened it. There was no one there. Just a box. Inside it, 2 phones. Both were turned on. Both were recording. And both were streaming to the same address. livenet.cc/premiere/the last call. Riley stared at me. She was shaking. Then her phone vibrated. A message popped up. "If you want Matthew to survive, make him tell the truth. You have 30 minutes. The audience is watching." She didn't ask questions. She just pointed the phone at me and said, "Start talking." And I did. I told her about the mirror, the countdowns, the girl with no eyes, the man in the archive with bandaged wrists, the editor's cut. And I watched in real time as her expression melted. She wasn't afraid of me. She was afraid of how much of her own life she suddenly couldn't verify anymore. I think that's when she broke. Not when she heard what they did to me, but when she realized she might have already been filmed for years without knowing. That her breakdowns, her private calls, her most vulnerable moments might already be compiled and monetized, sold as content to an audience that bet on how she'd react when she found out. And right then, the fire alarm went off. Loud, deafening. But it wasn't a fire. It was a signal. Lights outside. 3 black vans. No logos. Men in masks poured out. Not cops. Not feds. Worse. Collectors. LiveNet's cleanup team. Not there to kill. Just to erase. To collect the assets before the footage got messy. Riley ran. I grabbed one of the streaming phones and bolted after her. We made it 2 blocks before the feed cut out. That's when I realized both phones were fake. They weren't streaming out. They were streaming in. Every word I said, already broadcast, edited, filtered, captioned. The entire escape was just another act. Episode title. Truth hurts. The breakdown begins. I don't know where Riley is now. I haven't seen her since that night. All I know is that the next morning, the top trending video on LiveNet was a thumbnail of her staring blankly into the camera, eyes red, holding a knife. The caption was, "Bonus episode, she knows too much." The comments were filled with, "She's gonna snap in episode 5. This season is wild. They better not kill her off too soon, LOL." They weren't watching to help. They were watching to vote. Vote on who lives. Vote on who breaks. Vote on how the story ends. Because on LiveNet, suffering is a group project, and the audience is never innocent. You still think this is a story. You still think this is fiction. Look around you. How many of your photos are public? How many TikToks did you leave on everyone? How many I accept boxes did you check without reading? They don't need to hack you. You gave it to them. Every file, every message, every call, your face, your voice, your mannerisms. They've already mapped you into a character. You're just waiting to be cast. And when they finally pick you, it won't be with a warning. It'll be with a title card and a soft voice in your ear that says, "Smile. You're on camera." The last 72 hours haven't passed like time. They pass like edits. Moments cut and stitched. Loops. Repeats. I'll blink and find myself back in a parking garage I already left. I'll talk to someone and then realize they were never real. Voices echo before mouths move. Windows show reflections that aren't mine anymore. I don't know if this is real time anymore or just a highlight reel. I was never told I'd already lived. All I know is this. Tonight is the finale. October 20th, 11:47 p.m. Central Standard Time. The time LiveNet listed in their internal schedule under M4TTH3W.exe- terminal broadcast. I tried going off-grid again. Burners, cache, no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, no cameras, no screens, no reflections. I slept in laundromats, abandoned malls, inside a janitor's closet at a shuttered movie theater in St. Louis that still smelled like artificial butter and piss. Everywhere I went, I found them. A poster, a broadcast signal on a broken TV, a stranger on their phone, watching something with my face on it. Not just me, but edited versions of me doing things I never did. Yelling at strangers, crying in bathrooms, filming people without their consent, screaming things I've never said. They painted me as dangerous. They made people afraid of me. So when I asked for help, they didn't just ignore me, they reported me. The last time I asked a clerk to use the phone, I saw her type something into her register, and 5 minutes later, 2 security guards were walking toward me, radios buzzing with my name. Not my real name, my show title. M4TTH3W.exe, code Red Protocol. I broke into a UPS truck to hide. It was parked behind a strip mall, empty, quiet. Inside were 2 packages. One of them was addressed to me. No return label, just a QR code and a warning stamped on the box. Do not open until finale. Of course I opened it. Inside was a TV remote. One button. Red. No branding. And a single sheet of paper. Press to begin the final scene. The audience has already paid. You deserve a choice in how it ends. I didn't press it. I ran. That was 18 hours ago. It's now 11:42 p.m. 5 minutes until the finale. I'm writing this in the last place I could think of, inside the server farm that powers LiveNet's Midwest broadcast hub. A place I never should have gotten into. But that's the thing. They let me in. The gate was unlocked. The doors opened before I touched them. Cameras turned to follow me. But no alarm was raised. The guards were gone. The halls were lit. And the server bays, rows and rows of them, were humming like a beast asleep and dreaming of screams. I walked past racks of hardware, labeled with familiar names. Not just mine. Yours. People with usernames I recognize from comment sections. Real names, too. There's a bay for every major metro, blinking softly, with red LEDs like heartbeat monitors. And then I found the door labeled Showrunner, Authorized Access Only. It was wide open. Inside was a desk, a chair, a single monitor playing my life on loop. It wasn't surveillance footage. It was cinematic. Cuts, angles, a full score. Someone, no, something, was editing in real time. At 11:45 p.m., a man walked in, dressed like he worked in accounting. Glasses, quiet footsteps. Not at all what I expected. He smiled like I was a pet that finally came home. "You made it just in time," he said. I didn't answer. He gestured to the screen. "I know it's hard to understand, but you were always going to end here." Then he handed me a tablet. It was running LiveNet Studio Control, and it had 2 buttons. Role ending A, Hero's Exit. Role ending B, Public Threat Eliminated. I stared at him. "You want me to pick how I die?" He chuckled. "We prefer the word conclude. It tests better." Then he leaned in. "But we both know it doesn't matter what you choose. The audience has already decided. We just like to pretend you still have agency. 11:46 p.m. 1 minute left." I threw the tablet at the monitor. It didn't break. The screen shimmered like water, like it was never solid to begin with. Then it changed. My face. Live. From a drone angle, standing in the middle of the control room. The stream had already begun. I ran. Not sure where. Doors kept opening. Lights kept turning on ahead of me. It felt like I was being directed, not chased, staged. I ended up back outside, on the rooftop of the building. The city spread below me like static. Streetlights twitching, windows blinking, screens in bars, phones on sidewalks, LED billboards, all playing the same feed. Me, from different angles. A full cinematic broadcast. I looked behind me, and the man in the glasses was there again. Except it wasn't him. It was me. His face shimmered, then twisted, then became mine. But not current me. A cleaner, smoother version. The way I looked at the start of all this. He stepped forward and whispered, "I'm what they want. You were just the audition, 11:47 p.m. The world held its breath. Then, nothing. Silence. Darkness. I woke up this morning on a bench in Chicago. No blood, no crowd, no lights. Just a sunrise that felt too perfect. People were walking past me like I didn't exist. I pulled out a phone someone had left beside me. Already unlocked. Already logged in. Already playing a video. Me. Standing on that rooftop. Smiling. Then jumping. But I don't remember jumping. I don't remember smiling. I looked up. No cameras around. No phones pointed at me. But everyone who passed gave me the same look, recognition, followed by disappointment. Like the ending didn't live up to the trailer. I checked the comments. The twist was wild. I knew he'd pick option B. He went out soft. Kinda mid-TBH. Wish they'd done the Riley spin-off instead. It's over, and yet I'm still here. Which means I was never the star. Just the rough cut. The beta test for something bigger. They've moved on to new names now. New stories. You might have seen one trending this morning. A real clip of a college student going off script in a Zoom class. Or a dad caught having a breakdown on a Nest Cam. Or a teenager live streaming something she wasn't supposed to film. You think it's a leak. You think it's raw. It's not. It's all edited, all written, all packaged, and all of it is for them. So I'm writing this down because I know now I didn't survive. I was archived, repurposed, turned into a character no one even remembers was based on someone real. They'll delete this post, or they'll let it sit here like an ARG, like a creepy viral thing to pass around, and eventually you'll forget it too, unless you're already part of the next season, unless you're already being filmed. Final edit. Just now, my reflection smiled at me again, but I didn't move, and it mouthed, "Your pilot tested well." My mother left a letter before she died. It explains why we were never allowed in the basement. Yo, what's up, Reddit? I've never posted here before, but I figured if there's one place people might actually believe this, it's here. Especially r/no sleep. My name's Ryan. I'm 21. I live just outside of Chicago, and up until recently, I was just an average dude. I'd chill on Discord with friends, work a lame part-time job at Target, scroll through TikTok at 2 a.m., watching dumb videos I'd forget the next morning. Life was simple. Kinda boring, honestly. That was until 2 weeks ago. That's when everything shifted. I haven't slept more than 2 hours in the last 11 days. Not because I don't want to. Because every time I close my eyes, I hear scratching from under my floor. Let me start from the beginning though. This all started with my mom's death. My mom passed away 3 weeks ago. It was sudden. Brain aneurysm, apparently. She collapsed in the kitchen while making dinner. I came home from work and found her lying on the floor with the stove still on and pasta boiling over. There wasn't even a struggle. She was just gone. Cold. Like she had blinked out of existence. It didn't make sense, bro. She was 48, healthy, never smoked, didn't drink, did yoga every morning. You'd never expect someone like that to just drop dead. And here's the weird part. She always had this rule growing up. Don't go in the basement. It was like a family law or something. Locked door, key nowhere to be found. Whenever I'd ask why, she'd just brush it off with some BS like, "There's mold," or "It's not safe down there." Dude, I grew up in that house, and I've never seen the basement. Not once. That's not normal, right? Anyway, fast forward to the week after the funeral. I'm alone in the house. No siblings. Dad dipped before I was born, so it's just me now. I'm going through her stuff, trying to clean things out, figure out if I'm gonna sell the house or what. It's depressing. Everything smells like her perfume. Her slippers are still by the bed. Her toothbrush is still in the holder. So I'm cleaning out her bedroom closet, and I notice this tiny little square in the wall, like one of those small maintenance panels. It's covered by a shelf of old photo albums. I've never noticed it before. I move the shelf and pop it open with a screwdriver. Inside is this tiny compartment, like maybe 8 inches deep, and inside is a sealed envelope, just sitting there. It has my name on it, just Ryan in her handwriting. Bro, at this point, I'm expecting it to be something sweet. Maybe a note saying how proud she is of me, or something. Nope. I open it, and it's a single piece of yellowed paper, torn from a notebook. It's shaky handwriting, like she was rushing or scared. This is what it said. Ryan, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and you've started looking. Please listen to me carefully. Do not open the basement door. Ever. I don't care what you hear. I don't care what you see. I've kept it locked for a reason. What's down there is not human anymore. I made a mistake. I thought I could help him, but he changed. I buried everything. I sealed it. Do not go looking. It will find you if you do. Burn this letter. And whatever you do not go online about this. They're watching the deep net. They remember us. I swear to God, my stomach dropped. My ears were ringing. Like straight out of a horror movie, I just sat there on the floor, rereading the letter, hoping it was some kind of messed up prank. Like, maybe my mom lost her mind at the end or something. I didn't know what to think, but obviously, I didn't listen. I didn't burn the letter. I still have it. I even scanned it with my phone. I'll post a pic if this doesn't get deleted. Here's where it gets worse. That night, I couldn't sleep. The letter was all I could think about. What did she mean? He changed? Who's he? Who's watching the deep web? It made no sense. Around 2:30 a.m., I was lying in bed, scrolling through TikTok, just trying to chill out. And then, I heard it. Thump, coming from below the floorboards. Then again, softer. Thump, thump. I thought maybe it was the heater or some old pipe. But then the sound changed. Scratching, like long, slow, clawing sounds. Right under my bed. Bro, I know how that sounds. Believe me. But I was frozen. My heart was straight up pounding, like I'd just sprinted a mile. I got out of bed as quietly as I could and tiptoed to the hallway. The sound followed me, like it was tracking me from below. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the stairs with a kitchen knife until the sun came up. The next morning, I made the decision to finally do it. I was gonna open the basement. I had to know what the hell was going on. I figured if it was something down there, like an animal or maybe mold hallucinations or whatever, I needed to face it. I searched the house for hours, and eventually I found the key, taped behind the washing machine. Classic horror movie stuff, right? It was a rusty little brass key with a red tag that just said basement in all caps. Nothing creepy about that. So I go to the door, the same door that's been locked my entire life. I unlock it. It opens with this long, slow creak, like it hadn't been touched in decades. The air that came out of that stairwell, it was cold, like hospital basement cold, and it smelled like iron, like old coins and something rotting way down deep. I turned on my phone flashlight and started going down the stairs. But here's the part that messed me up. There weren't just stairs. There was a hallway. The first step down that staircase didn't feel real. The air was so dense, it felt like I was walking underwater, my flashlight beam cutting through thick dust that glittered like ash. Each board creaked under my feet, groaning like the house itself wanted to warn me. The smell hit halfway down. Not just damp or mold, something chemical, like burnt plastic and old metal, the scent that sticks in your throat and makes you want to gag. It reminded me of those nights when Mom would go clean the boiler room and tell me to turn the music up in my room. Except there was no boiler. At the bottom, I expected a small basement. Instead, there was this narrow hallway stretching farther than it should have. The house wasn't that big, but the passage kept going, 20, maybe 30 feet, until the light from upstairs was gone. The walls weren't normal concrete either. They looked like patched stone, as if someone had covered old bricks with slabs of cement. And between the slabs, you could see faint, dark stains, long streaks, almost like fingerprints dragged downward. When I reached the end, I saw a metal door, heavy, industrial, completely out of place in a suburban home. No handle, just a sliding lock and a small square window, like something from a psychiatric ward. I lifted my flashlight to the window and froze. On the other side was a room, small, square, barely lit by a single bulb hanging from the ceiling, and painted on the wall in letters that looked carved instead of drawn were words, "He still hears." That's when my flashlight flickered. For a split second, the reflection in the window wasn't mine. It was someone taller, thinner, its head tilted too far, like a question mark in human form. Then darkness. I stumbled back, dropped the light, and it hit the floor with a clang. When I picked it up, the door was open. I swear on everything, I never heard it unlatch. I never touched it. But it was open just enough to see the corner of a wooden table inside, covered in something metallic that caught the light. I should have run. Every part of me knew it. But curiosity can be a disease. Inside, the room was colder. The air felt wrong, thick and humming, like there was a generator somewhere deep in the walls. The table had a set of tools lined up on it. Not hammers or wrenches, but small, sharp metal instruments with numbers etched into the handles. Medical, maybe? Each had a little label in my mom's handwriting. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. There were Polaroids too. Dozens of them, pinned to the wall in neat rows. They were all blurry, like they'd been taken in motion mid-scream, and every one of them showed the same basement. This basement, but older, emptier, and in the corner of each photo, if you looked closely, there was always a figure half hidden by shadow, tall, watching. My heart was hammering so hard, it felt like it was echoing off the walls. That's when I heard it again, that low scratching sound. Only now, it wasn't under me, it was behind me. I spun around, shining the light down the hallway. Nothing, just dust drifting in the beam. But the scratching kept going, faster, scraping against the concrete, like something trying to claw its way out. I backed into the room, slammed the metal door shut, and tried to lock it. The sliding latch jammed halfway. I yanked it until my palms bled raw. The sound stopped. The silence after was worse than the noise. Heavy, expectant, like the house was holding its breath with me. I noticed a small wooden chest under the table, the kind with a padlock, but the latch was snapped. Inside were paper folders, all with my last name on the tabs. Dates going back to before I was born. Inside the first file was a photograph of my mother in a hospital gown, standing beside a man I didn't recognize. His face had been scratched out with a pen, hard enough to tear the paper. Under it, a note in the same shaky writing from her letter. Subject 03 shows signs of awareness. He recognizes the voice. Containment failing. Proceed to isolation. The next few pages were medical charts, brainwave readings, dosage schedules, things like sleep suppression, 48 hours, and stimulus reinforcement, order laboratory hallucination test. Every single page ended with successful. There was a file for me, too. I almost didn't open it, but I did. The first paper was a birth certificate. My birth certificate. Except under father, there was just a symbol, a black circle with 3 lines through it, like some underground logo. The rest of the folder was empty, except for one sticky note that said, "He's been calling for you since you were 5. Something slammed upstairs, hard, like a chair thrown against a wall. The bulb above me flickered so violently it felt like a strobe, flashing the room in bursts of motion. Every time the light blinked, I saw something closer in the doorway. A shape, tall and crooked, head tilting, matching the rhythm of the flicker. The last flash, before the bulb went out, showed its hand reaching for the frame. Too long, fingers bending wrong. Then total black. I didn't run. I couldn't even move. I just stood there in the dark, listening to breathing that wasn't mine. Shallow, wet breaths, inches from my ear. Then, as if someone leaned right up to whisper, I heard a voice. A man's, broken and distant. "You shouldn't have read the letter." When the light came back on, I was alone. Everything was back in place. The door was shut, the tools neatly lined up again, the Polaroids hanging straight, as if no one had ever touched them. Except now, there was a new one pinned to the wall. Fresh, edges still curling from being printed. It was a photo of me, taken from behind, standing exactly where I was. Edit. I left the house that night. I haven't been back, but something's wrong with my phone camera. Every selfie I take shows that same hallway behind me, even when I'm miles away. I thought leaving the house would fix everything. For a few days, it almost did. I stayed with my friend Jake downtown, the one with the tiny studio apartment above that 24-hour Starbucks on Clark Street. He laughed when I told him about the letter, said grief does weird things to people. I let him believe that. It was easier than explaining the photographs, but the quiet never lasts. The first night there, I woke up to a faint tapping. At first, I figured it was pipes or the radiator, except the sound was patent. 3 knocks, pause, 3 again, like Morse code. When I turned on my phone's flashlight, I saw the wall across from the bed vibrating slightly, as if someone on the other side was pressing their ear to it. Jake didn't hear a thing. He rolled over, mumbled something, went back to sleep. I sat awake until morning, watching that wall breathe. By the second day, my phone started acting up. Videos wouldn't play right. Every clip had a flicker of static before starting, like an old VHS glitching. And sometimes, in the middle of scrolling TikTok, my screen would flash a frame of the basement door. Same angle, same lighting. Always less than a second, like it was spliced into random videos. I deleted the app. It didn't help. That evening, I noticed Jake's cat standing by the apartment door, tail puffed out, growling at nothing. The lights dimmed, then brightened. I felt my ears pop, like the pressure dropped in the room, and from somewhere inside the walls came a whisper, soft, distorted, repeating my name. Ryan, Ryan. Jake thought I was pranking him until he heard it too. He turned pale, unplugged everything, and said we were crashing at his girlfriend's place instead. When we opened the door, the hallway lights were all off, except one flickering bulb at the far end. And painted on the floor in black marker, right outside the apartment, were those same words from the basement. He still hears. We left. I didn't even grab my jacket. I stayed the next few nights in a cheap motel near O'Hare, one of those places that smells like cigarettes no matter which room you get. I tried to convince myself it was just stress, some kind of grief hallucination, but every time I turned on the TV, the static hissed before the picture came through, and I'd see shapes moving in the noise, like faces pushing out of the snow for half a heartbeat. The staff started looking at me funny. I guess screaming at a blank television at 3 a.m. doesn't make you popular. On the fourth night, a message showed up in my inbox. No username, no profile picture, just a subject line that read, "You opened the wrong door." The email itself was blank except for an attachment, an audio file named recording07.wave. I knew I shouldn't, but curiosity wins again. I played it. The file started with silence, then a faint dripping sound. After about 10 seconds, a woman's voice whispered, "You left the door open, Ryan." It was my mom's voice. Then came the scratching. Same rhythm, same direction, below me. I slammed the laptop shut, but the sound didn't stop. It kept playing through the walls, like the audio had leaked into the room. That's when I noticed something new. The floorboards under the motel bed were slightly lifted, like pressure pushing up from underneath. I grabbed my bag and ran. The next morning, I went back to the house. I don't even know why. Maybe because I thought ending it meant confronting it. The place looked abandoned already. Mail stacked up, windows fogged, the smell of dust, and something sweet and sour underneath it all. The key was still in my pocket. The basement door stood closed, exactly how I'd left it. Only this time, the red tag on the key had been replaced. Someone had written a new message on it in smeared ink. Phase 4 begins when you return. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped it. I unlocked the door anyway. The air that poured out was warmer now, like something breathing from below. Halfway down, my flashlight dimmed again. The walls looked different. New cracks, and what seemed like tiny wires or veins spreading out of them, pulsing faintly. At the bottom, the metal door was gone. In its place was an archway lined with old brick, and beyond it, a corridor that curved downward, impossible to see the end of. I started recording on my phone, mostly to prove I wasn't losing it. The camera kept autofocusing, trying to lock onto something just outside the frame. Then the audio picked up a faint hum. Not machinery, not electricity, but voices, layered and echoing. Some of them were my mother's, others were mine, repeating sentences I hadn't said yet. As I walked, the corridor widened into a circular chamber. The ceiling dripped water into a puddle at the center, and floating in that puddle was an old CRT television. It was unplugged, screen dark, but when I stepped closer, it turned on by itself. Static, then an image. Me, standing exactly where I was. Live. Except in the reflection, something stood behind me. Tall, faceless, its arms draped over my shoulders like a puppet master's strings. I turned around. Nothing there. Turned back. The screen now showed my mother, sitting at that same table from before. She was speaking, but the sound came out backward, a distorted whine. Then she looked up, directly at me, and mouthed the words, "It remembers you." The TV shut off. The puddle started vibrating, ripples circling outward. From somewhere deep below, I heard that tapping again, louder this time, rhythmic, counting down. I ran, up the stairs, through the hallway, past the living room, but the lights flickered faster with every step, and every reflection in the windows showed that thing closer, matching my movements with a half-second delay. I made it outside just as the power in the whole house cut out. The windows went black. And then, from the other side of the glass, my own face looked back at me, smiling. I don't know where to go anymore. Every mirror, every screen shows me that same version of myself, standing in that basement that shouldn't exist, waiting. Whatever my mother was hiding is not finished, and I think it's trying to use me to come back through. Edit. The last voicemail I got before my phone died was from an unknown number. It was only 4 words whispered in her voice. You're the next phase. I don't sleep anymore. Not because I'm afraid of the nightmares. I don't get those. I see it when I'm awake now. Doesn't matter where I go. Doesn't matter how many states I've crossed. It finds a way to show me that hallway. Always from a different angle. Always with something new in the frame that wasn't there before. The last time it showed up in a reflection in the window of a Starbucks in downtown Toronto. There was something written in blood-red chalk along the top of the basement wall. Ryan is not the first. Let me take you back to 4 nights ago. I was staying at a 24-hour roadside diner near the Michigan border, the kind that hasn't changed since 1983, where the waitress calls you Hon and the coffee tastes like wet ash. I was sitting in the back booth alone, charging my phone with a barely working power bank, trying to figure out how to disappear. Not just leave town, but erase myself. Because somehow, somewhere in me, I could feel it tracking me, like a pressure behind my eyes, like I had a blinking red dot above my head in some invisible spectrum I didn't understand. The waitress came over and dropped off the check, but instead of the usual receipt paper, it was a photograph. Just a regular 4x6 glossy photo. I looked up at her, confused, but she was already walking away, pretending like nothing happened. I flipped it over. It was a picture of me, sitting in that exact booth, same cup of coffee, same pose. But in the photo, the window behind me was blacked out, and someone was sitting across from me. Something. It was just a blur, a smear of skin and wrong proportions, its face a swirl of static. You ever see those AI-generated faces that don't quite get the eyes right? That's the closest I can describe it. My nose started bleeding right there at the table, just poured onto the photo, and the second the first drop hit it, the ink bled like it had been drawn in marker. The words appeared on the surface of the table in front of me, like invisible ink reacting to blood. Phase 5. Confirmed. I ran, left everything behind. Phone, backpack, even my wallet. Didn't care anymore. Didn't matter. It would find me again anyway. You might think it's just a haunting, some spirit, some curse. It's not. It's a program. My mother wasn't just hiding a secret. She was part of it. When I finally made it to an abandoned truck stop off I-94, I found one of those outdoor terminals, like an old gas station monitor with a broken card reader and a keyboard rusted into place. The screen was dead, but when I touched it, it came to life, like it had been waiting for me. The screen flashed once, then displayed a prompt. Enter project ID. I typed 03_RYAN. The screen flickered. Then text started to scroll. Hundreds of lines, log files, data entries, redacted names, dates going back to the 1970s. One of the earliest entries was dated April 2nd, 1974, and it simply read, Subject number 01 has failed. Vocal responses incompatible. Screaming was constant. Isolation terminated at 112 hours. Burial approved. Then, subject number 02 rejected entry. Self-mutilation occurred after phase 3. Eyes removed manually. Subject number 03, born from internal transfer. Host matched. Mother retains false memory protocols. Monitoring active. That was me. I was subject number 3. My life, my entire life, has been an experiment. I wasn't born, I was installed. The screen flashed once more. Then a video started playing. Grainy surveillance footage. Black and white. It was my mother. Much younger, early 20s maybe. Standing in a white-walled room with rubber flooring. She's facing the camera. Her mouth is moving, but no sound. Then suddenly, she drops to her knees and rips her own fingernails off. Slowly, precisely, one by one, placing each on the floor in front of her like some ritual. After the 10th one, she stands, holds up her bleeding hands, and smiles. The screen cuts to static. Then another clip. It's me, age 6, sitting at a table in the same room. I'm crying, screaming something on repeat, but the sound is still muted. Behind me is a figure, long, skeletal, standing perfectly still in the corner. It doesn't move. It doesn't blink. It just watches. The feed cuts out. I started walking. I don't remember how long. Time stretches when you're unraveling. At some point, I passed a digital billboard on the side of the highway. One of those LED ones that rotates ads every few seconds. Except this one never changed. It was a still image of the basement, the hallway. But this time, the photo was taken from above, like a security camera. And at the end of the hallway was a second door. I never saw it before. It had no knob, no frame, just a perfectly black rectangle embedded in the wall. Under the image, the billboard read, "We're ready for you now, Ryan." I don't remember passing out, but when I woke up, I was lying on the floor of what looked like a hospital hallway. White tile, pale flickering light, no windows. There was a mirror on the wall across from me, but it didn't show my reflection. Instead, it showed the basement door. I turned to look. Nothing there. But the mirror kept showing it. Then, behind the door, in the reflection, a hand slowly pressed against the glass. Long fingers, gray skin, like wet paper stretched over bone. Then another hand. Then a face. Not mine. Not hers. Not human. The door in the reflection opened inward, and the lights in the hallway I was standing in shut off, one by one, like a countdown, until the last bulb above me buzzed and died. I stood alone in pitch black, and something whispered from inches above my head, "You were never meant to leave." That's when I saw it. In the total dark, a red blinking light appeared on the far wall, like a recording dot. Then a speaker crackled on. Static. Then, begin phase 6. My spine locked. I couldn't move, couldn't blink. My jaw clicked open, wider than it should. Something moved through me, not into me, but around me, like my body was a shell, and something had finally gotten inside. The last thing I heard was the sound of my mother's voice, repeating the same word, over and over through the static. Return. Edit. I'm not in my body anymore. I can see through it. It walks. It smiles. If you've seen me, it's not me. It's phase 6, and you're next. The body walks on its own now. Sometimes I wake up inside it, like opening my eyes underwater, just long enough to feel my hands moving across a keyboard that isn't really there. Every time I regain control, I'm somewhere new. Different clothes, different time on the clock, same humming in the air, like a far-off power line. It isn't over. It never was. The first time I realized I was being transmitted was 3 days after the hospital hallway. I woke up sitting on a park bench near Navy Pier. The lake was flat, gray, no wind at all. My phone was in my pocket, turned off, but it was still recording. A 13-hour video file with a thumbnail that looked like static. When I played it, the image wasn't a video at all. It was scrolling text. Each line appeared one by one, typing itself out like someone was live editing it. Phase 6, successful. Hive, signal established. Next integration, ETA 0333 AM. Then my own voice, my real voice, whispered through the speaker. Don't watch this to the end. The clip cut off. I started noticing the marks soon after. Tiny black triangles under the skin on my wrists, like digital tattoos. At first, I thought they were bruises, but they moved. Every day they shifted slightly higher, pixelating into new shapes. I tried scratching them out. It didn't hurt, just felt wrong, like trying to erase something that wasn't on the surface anymore. When I looked closely, the patterns looked almost like QR codes. When I pointed a camera at one, my phone automatically opened a link. deeproom//phase7.entry. The screen went white. Then text appeared in my mother's handwriting. If you're reading this, it's already awakened you. The only way to contain it is to finish the story. Tell them everything. Make them read. Make them see the basement. The infection travels through memory. That's when it hit me. This wasn't haunting me. I was spreading it. Every time I posted, every word someone read about the basement, they saw it. And once they saw it, it saw them back. That's what Phase 7 meant. Last night, I found myself back at the house. I don't remember going there. One moment I was walking along a highway shoulder. The next, the front door was in front of me. Same chipped paint, same porch light that hadn't worked in years. Except it was glowing bright red now, like an open wound in the dark. Inside, everything was clean. Too clean. All the dust gone, the furniture polished, photos hung perfectly straight. But the photos weren't right. Every frame contained the same image repeated, the hallway leading down to the basement door. Each one slightly darker than the last, until the final frame was pitch black. A faint noise came from downstairs. Not scratching this time. Typing. I followed it. The basement door stood open, the air still humming. The stairs were replaced with metal steps, and the glow of dozens of monitors lit the space below. The room wasn't stone anymore. It looked like a server farm. Racks of humming towers, cables like veins, and screens filled with looping video. Me, sitting at different ages, speaking words that I didn't remember saying. On the largest monitor was a live feed. My face, blank, staring back at me. And beneath it, text scrolled across. Final transmission in progress. Uploading subject 03 to network. Estimated time 02:59. The temperature dropped. Frost crawled up the sides of the machines, spiderwebbing across metal. I could see my breath. Then the screen started to flicker. Images of everyone who had ever been in my life. My mother, Jake, the waitress. Faces dissolving into pixel static one by one, until all that was left was that same faceless figure, towering, head tilting. It leaned forward through the screen. The glass flexed like plastic. I backed up against the wall. My phone buzzed once in my pocket. A new message from an unknown number. You can still end it. Delete the story before anyone else reads it. I looked back at the monitors. The upload bar hit 99%, and for the first time, I heard my mother's voice clearly. Not a whisper, not reversed. It isn't a basement, Ryan. It's a server. Everything went white. When I came to, the house was gone. Just an empty lot. No foundation, no address sign, nothing but a square patch of dead grass and a faint humming coming from underneath the ground. I'm writing this from a borrowed laptop in a library. The cursor keeps moving on its own, like it knows what I'm about to type. If you've read this far, you've probably already heard it. That low static in the back of your ears. Don't try to find the source. Don't check the basement. Don't replay the words in your head. That's how it moves. Edit. If your screen flickered while you were reading this, it means Phase 7 recognized you. The basement doesn't need a house anymore. It's under every connection now. When my dad died, he left me the house and a list of rules. Rule number 7, don't talk to the other me. Yo, what's up, Reddit? So this might be the most insane story I've ever told. Like, full-on psychological horror movie type insane. But it's real. I swear on everything. I debated for weeks if I should even post this. But after everything that happened, I just need someone else to hear it. Maybe even believe it. My name's Trevor. I'm 24, just a regular dude from Pittsburgh. I work at a lame office job and live mostly online, scrolling through TikTok, Discord servers, and watching creepy animation channels like Here's My Story and those wild analog horror edits people post late at night. You know the vibe. Anyway, my life was normal until my dad died. He passed away 3 months ago. Heart attack, sudden, no warning. Dude was healthy, too. Worked out, didn't smoke. He was only 54. We weren't super close, but he always told me the house was my inheritance. I thought it was just him being dramatic. He was that type. He collected weird survival books, used burner phones, even though he had an iPhone, and never, ever used social media. No Facebook, no Instagram, nothing. Not even LinkedIn, which is weird for someone who ran a whole damn business. Anyway, after the funeral, I get a manila envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside is a single key. Old school skeleton key. Rusty. Along with a printed list of rules and a handwritten note. Trevor, if you're reading this, I'm already dead. The house is yours now. Follow the rules exactly. If you don't, I can't protect you anymore. At the bottom was a post-it with GPS coordinates. I Google map it and I'm like, wait, what? It's a house in the middle of fucking nowhere. Literally on the edge of Mount Rainier, Washington. I'd never even been out west before. I didn't even know my dad owned property there. He lived in Pennsylvania his whole life, just like me. I thought it was fake, like maybe a prank, but then the lawyer called. Yup, the house was real, fully paid off. My name was on the deed, and the lawyer sounded scared when I asked about it, like voice shaking scared. She just said, Mr. Vaughn, please, just read the rules. And whatever you do, don't ignore rule number 7. Your father was a good man. Then she hung up. Just like that. The rules. Printed, yellowed paper, typed on a typewriter. Never enter the basement after 11:59 p.m. The upstairs hallway mirror must stay covered at all times. Use black fabric only. If you hear whistling from the backyard, do not look outside. Always feed it through the pantry hatch. Never open the hatch fully. If a second version of me shows up, ignore it. Don't acknowledge it. Don't let anyone in after 3 a.m., even if they cry, even if they sound like me. Don't talk to the other me. He lies. I'll admit, at first I laughed. I legit thought my dad was trolling me from beyond the grave, like a horror-themed scavenger hunt or some final destination crap. But something in me said to go. Curiosity, I guess. Maybe it was the vibe of the rules. They were too specific, like someone had followed these before. And I don't know why, but that last rule, it gave me chills. Fast forward 2 weeks later, I fly out to Washington. I rent a beat-up grey Hyundai, grab a Red Bull, and start the drive out to the mountains. Cell signal dies 40 minutes in. I should have turned back, but I didn't. The house was massive. Not some cabin in the woods, but like borderline mansion, colonial style. Ivy crawling up the walls, broken windows. Just looked like something from a Netflix limited series. Creepy, but still somehow inviting. When I stepped inside, it felt like the air dropped 20 degrees. Cold, heavy, like the air was thick. My first instinct was to leave, but nah, I'd come this far. I turned on the lights. Yes, power still worked. And right on the hallway table was a second envelope. My name on it. Same handwriting as the first. Inside, just a single sentence. He's awake now. Whatever you do, don't look into the mirror. I swear to God, I hadn't even noticed the mirror until I read that. But the moment I did, I turned and saw it. Massive, ornate, and shattered just slightly at the corner. Like something had pushed from the other side. And it wasn't covered. I ran, straight into the kitchen, slammed the door behind me. I don't know how long I sat there, staring at the hatch in the pantry door like it was about to open itself. I didn't sleep that night. Around 3:10 a.m., I heard knocking, not on the front door, on the glass sliding door in the living room. I didn't go check. I remembered Rule 6, but whoever it was kept knocking, softly, rhythmic. And then they whispered my name, over and over and over. It was my dad's voice, except he was dead. I recorded it on my phone. I have the audio. I'll upload it if this post gets traction. I swear I'm not making this up. But here's the worst part. Just before sunrise, I peeked through the curtain, thinking it was over, and there, standing at the tree line, was me, another me, wearing my clothes, same posture, same face. He was just smiling, and when I locked eyes with him, he mouthed something. 4 words. You already broke Rule 7. Have you ever looked at your own face? I mean really looked, and felt like it was studying you instead? Because that's exactly what it felt like. Watching the other me standing there at the edge of the woods, still, unblinking, grinning like he knew a joke I hadn't heard yet. The same stupid hoodie I was wearing, the same black beanie, even the scar under my chin from when I wiped out on a bird scooter in Miami back in 2020. It was me, but the smile wasn't mine. His teeth were all just a little too perfect. Not braces perfect, unnatural perfect, like someone had filed them smooth and reset them into his jaw. He didn't blink once. He just stood there, mouthing that same sentence over and over. You already broke Rule 7. I don't remember walking away. 1 second I'm watching him. Next thing I know, I'm upstairs, door locked, sitting in this weird leather chair that faced the hallway mirror. I didn't even realize where I was until I saw the mirror again, and this time, it was different. There was fog behind the glass, like condensation, but the air was ice cold, no steam, no explanation, and behind my reflection, something was moving. I swear on everything, I swear on my dad's grave. I watched a hand come out of the fog. Long fingers, no nails. It curled around the back of my reflected shoulder, but I felt nothing on my real one. It just sat there, touching the mirror version of me, while I sat frozen in place. Then it moved again. The hand slowly raised up, and it pointed at me. Not mirror me, not the reflection. Me. Like it knew, like it was warning me. I blinked, and it was gone. Not just the hand, the fog, everything. The mirror was just a mirror again, but I swear something was still looking back. I left the mirror room and decided I was done playing the weird haunted house game. I needed answers. I wanted facts. Something. Anything that made sense. So I went back downstairs and started digging through the office. The house had a small study with bookshelves lined with dusty law books and old printouts, 2010 style printer paper, faded ink. I found this locked drawer, broke it open with a screwdriver, and inside was a black Dell laptop from like 2007. Still had the Windows Vista sticker on it. It booted up. No password. Just a desktop with a single folder labeled, "My face is a liar." I should have stopped there, but I didn't. I opened it. Inside, hundreds of files, videos, audio logs, surveillance screenshots. My dad was documenting everything. The first video was dated December 4th, 2012. He looked younger, unshaven, panicked. They say mirrors don't lie. That's bullshit. They just repeat. They watch. I made contact last night. He looks like me. He remembers my childhood. He speaks in my voice. But he isn't me. God help me. I talked to him. He told me what would happen. I didn't believe it. I thought I was losing it. But he was right. Then it cuts. Hard jump cut. Static. Then he's back. Same room. New bruise under his eye. Different shirt. He followed me to work today. He was me. He told my boss I was sick. Went home with my wife. Slept in my bed. I watched it happen. I watched me live my life while I hid like a coward in a Starbucks parking lot, crying into a paper bag. Another jump cut. I tried to burn the mirror. He laughed. I laughed. It didn't break. The reflection just burned upward, like it was inverted. There was something in the flames. An eye. Just one. It opened, and everything went silent. It saw me, and I felt like I was 3 years old again, standing in front of my mom's casket, crying without knowing why. I paused the video. My hands were shaking. There were more files, each more unhinged than the last. Dates skipped years sometimes, like he'd record a month's worth of terror, then nothing for 3 years. But the scariest part? Around 2019, the other him starts replying. There are videos labeled ME responds and LIARFACE speaks. One video, no visuals, just audio. My dad's voice on one side, but distorted, like an echo underwater. And then this deeper, grating version of his voice responding. A short transcript. I wrote this down word for word because I couldn't believe it. Dad, you're not me. Other. Him. Not yet. But I'm better. I'm the version of you that didn't lie, didn't fail, didn't feel. You made rules to contain me. But you forgot. Rules don't work if you break them first. Dad, I didn't talk to you. I looked away. Other him. Not when you were dreaming. I slammed the laptop shut. I didn't sleep that night. Again. Because now the rules weren't just rules. They were a barricade. And I had already chipped a hole in it. Things got worse. The third night, around 2:47 a.m., I woke up to the sound of someone walking inside the walls. I'm not exaggerating. You know how old houses creak, right? This wasn't that. This was footsteps. heavy, deliberate, like someone barefoot was walking inside the drywall. Then, whispering, like static being poured through a mouth that didn't quite know how to pronounce human words. I followed the sound. It led to the pantry. Yeah, the hatch. The little wood door at the back. The one with the padlock. The one my dad said to feed through, but never open. I don't know what possessed me. Maybe it was sleep deprivation, or fear, or just plain stupidity. But I opened the hatch. Just a crack. Something was waiting. I didn't see it. Not fully. But the smell. That smell. Like rotting meat and lavender perfume. And then the voice came through. Not my dad's. Not mine. Something else. We remember you. We wore your bones before. You taste like regret. I slammed the hatch. Locked it. Ran to the front door. And froze. The door was open. Just slightly ajar. And on the ground, footprints. Bare feet. Soaking wet. Leading into the house. I spent the rest of the night barricaded in the bathroom, knife in hand, just listening. Every hour, something different knocked at the door. Sometimes it was crying, sometimes laughter. Once, it was the sound of my mom's voice. She died in 2009. The next morning, the house felt emptier, but not safer. I went to the mirror room again. I don't know why. Maybe I just wanted it to be over. But when I got there, the black cloth that I'd nailed over the mirror was on the floor, and written in the dust across the mirror surface was one sentence. You wore my face before. Now I wear yours. And standing behind me, reflected perfectly, was me, smiling, holding the same knife. Except I didn't have it in my hand anymore. I woke up in the backyard, face down in the grass, knife gone, phone dead. It's been 2 days since then. I hear him walking around the house at night. Not in the house. As me. He uses my voice now. My phone. He logged into my Discord and started messaging people. People think I'm joking. They think it's just me pulling a prank. But that's the point. He doesn't want them to know it's not me. I think the rules weren't for protection. They were instructions for how to replace me. Rule 7 didn't say, don't look at him. It said, don't talk to him. Because the second you give him a voice, he takes yours. And I think mine is almost gone. Edit. I saw my reflection blink when I didn't. It's smiling now, even when I'm crying. If this post disappears, don't believe the one who replies. It'll be under my name. But it won't be me. It's been 4 nights since I realized the reflection moves on its own. I don't dream anymore. I watch myself sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see the house from a few feet above my body, like I'm hanging from the ceiling. I can see my chest rising and falling, my hands twitching, my mouth moving. Sometimes I can hear myself whispering things I don't understand. Short words, backward syllables. It's not sleep talking. It's more like I'm being rehearsed. When I wake up, things are different in the house. Small, wrong things. The rug flipped the other direction. All the clocks reset to 3:17 a.m. A single mug on the kitchen counter with hot coffee in it. Steam rising. I don't even own coffee grounds. And there's breathing in the vents now. I tried to leave. Tried to walk to the car. The GPS wouldn't load. But that wasn't the strange part. The strange part was the road itself. It looped. I drove for hours, headlights cutting through the fog. Same pine trees, same bent street sign, same decaying billboard from McDonald's breakfast wraps they stopped selling years ago. When I finally stopped the car, my phone buzzed. No signal, but the screen lit up with a new notification. Photo saved to camera roll. The photo was of me, standing next to the car, staring directly into the lens, taken from behind me. That night, the power went out. The generator under the porch kicked on automatically. My dad had written, "Don't shut it off," on the control box with a red Sharpie. I could hear it humming through the floor, steady, mechanical, like a heartbeat the house borrowed to stay alive. The laptop still worked on battery. One more video, dated February 3rd, 2021. Dad looked older, frail, eyes ringed with that kind of exhaustion you only see in people who've been awake for days. He whispered the whole time, like he thought someone else was listening. I figured it out. The reflection isn't a person, it's a recording. Every time you look, it learns a little more about how to be you. It watches and it waits until you slip, until you talk back. Then it copies what it hears, syllable by syllable. When it can answer you without lag, it knows enough to step through. He leaned close to the camera. You can't destroy it. You can only starve it. Don't feed it attention. Don't speak its name. Every question gives it shape. Then the video cut to static. For a second, maybe half a second, my own face flashed in the noise. Not my dad's. Mine. Staring, wide-eyed, mouth slightly open, like a frame pulled from some future footage. By the fifth night, the noises started calling from upstairs. Sometimes it's laughter. Sometimes it's footsteps pacing, stopping right over where I'm standing. Once, there was a dragging sound, like furniture scraping slowly across the floorboards. I found something new in the hallway, a Polaroid pinned to the wall with a kitchen knife. The photo showed the mirror, uncovered. My reflection, smiling, and someone standing behind me that I couldn't make out. The caption, written in marker across the bottom edge, "He likes how you look when you're afraid." The knife wasn't mine. The handle was engraved with 3 letters, TVM, my initials. The more I try to ignore it, the more the house reminds me that ignoring doesn't help. Every screen, laptop, phone, even the microwave clock, flickers my reflection for a split second before showing what's really there. Yesterday, the reflection mouthed a full sentence I couldn't hear, but I read it perfectly. Your body fits better than his did. The pantry hatch rattled that same hour. 3 short knocks, 1 long scrape. I pushed a chair against it and left the kitchen lights on. The hum of the generator got louder. There's this low, rhythmic tone under the hum now, like whispering layered 1,000 times until it becomes a note. If I listen too long, I start to hear words inside it. Last night, I couldn't help it. I pressed my ear to the floorboards and listened. We're almost matching. Only one voice left. Morning brought a false sense of calm. The sky outside looked wrong, too still, like a painted backdrop. I stepped outside to test it. No wind, no birds, just silence. When I turned back toward the house, every window had fogged over from the inside. Each fogged pane had a handprint, perfectly lined up, as if the house were clapping in reverse. I went back in, locked the door, sat on the floor, and tried to remember what my dad's laugh sounded like. Couldn't. It's like those memories were overwritten by a different sound. My own voice, but not quite right, repeating, "You wore my face before. Now I wear yours. I don't know what day it is anymore." I found the mirror covered again this morning, even though I haven't touched it since that night. The fabric is pinned tight, and something heavy breathes behind it. Slow, patient. When I stand near it, the air bends slightly, like heat above asphalt. If I speak, even whisper, The fabric moves, as if something inside the mirror is leaning closer to listen. I think it's waiting for a mistake, a word, a greeting, a name. The last line in my dad's notes wasn't typed. It was carved into the wooden desktop with a pocket knife. I ran my fingers over it until splinters bled into my skin. It says, "When the echo learns to ask why, it doesn't need you anymore." I'm starting to understand what that means. I hear myself speaking from rooms I'm not in. I find messages in my handwriting that I don't remember writing. Sometimes when I blink, the walls shift just enough that I'm standing somewhere else. Like the house keeps rewriting itself to match his version of events instead of mine. If anyone ever finds this story, if the username posting it sounds like me but doesn't feel like me, check the dates, check the phrasing. My real posts always end the same way. If the post ends without an edit, that's not me, because I'll always leave one. Like this. Edit, the mirror whispered back tonight. It used my voice to tell me I'm already on the wrong side. It's not just the mirror anymore. It's the walls, the air, the idea of me that's rotting. I can't tell if I'm still inside the house or if the house is inside of me. I used to believe the house was haunted. Now I understand. The house isn't haunted. It's hungry. It doesn't creak because it's old. It shifts, like it's adjusting its spine, flexing its ribs, getting ready to move again. Sometimes I hear breathing in the insulation. Sometimes I see it, like a face pressing against plastic wrap from the inside of the drywall, a mouth stretching through the paint, teeth leaving impressions underneath the wallpaper. I tried to record it. iPhone, voice memos, video, anything. But every time I press play, all I hear is my own voice, whispering, "Don't make me do this again." The other me is still walking the halls. He's confident now, doesn't try to hide anymore. I've seen him brushing his teeth in the upstairs bathroom like it's his house. He uses my toothbrush, my deodorant. He left a Spotify playlist open on my laptop. I don't recognize a single song, but the title of the playlist was "Things I'll Say Before I Swallow You." I haven't looked in the mirror in 2 days. I don't trust it, because when I do, he gets closer. The last time I caught a glimpse, just a flash in the toaster chrome. His eyes weren't mine anymore. They were empty, smooth sockets with light behind them, not eyes, like headlights shining through a wax mask. Like he wasn't looking out, he was recording. I found something in the basement. I know I wasn't supposed to go down there. Rule number 1, never after 11:59 p.m. But the rules are bending now, and so am I. The door was already open when I got there. The light switch didn't work, but something in the dark was pulsing, not flickering, pulsing, like it had a heartbeat. I stepped down, flashlight in hand, every stair groaning like it recognized my weight. The air got wet the further I descended. Not humid, wet, like I was walking into a throat. The basement wasn't a basement anymore. It was wider than the house footprint, too wide. Dirt walls sweating, foundation melted into nothing, just a massive circular room with mirrors lining every surface, except they didn't show me. They showed versions of me, standing still, facing the mirror from the other side. Every one of them was frozen mid-gesture, one covering its face, one laughing silently, one picking its own teeth with a splintered bone. One version turned to face me. Only one. It raised its hand, and the entire mirror wall rippled like water. Then it pointed, right at me. I ran, up the stairs, tripped, cut my palm on the railing. Didn't stop. Slammed the basement door shut behind me. But when I turned the corner into the hallway, every door was gone. No bedroom, no mirror room, just hallway, stretching, like the house had forgotten its layout. The floor sloped downward, subtly, but enough that I felt it in my knees. Lights above me buzzing, dimming. No windows. And the deeper I walked, the more the air smelled like bleach and burned hair. Then the lights shut off. All of them. I kept walking in the dark, and behind me, I heard footsteps, exactly matching mine. Half a second late, like an echo trying to stay in sync. I turned around. Nothing. But I knew. Something was learning how to be me, and it was almost finished. I found the attic entrance again by accident. The hallway folded on itself like paper, and suddenly I was staring at the pull cord. The attic wasn't on any blueprint. It's not even visible from the outside. I checked. But the inside was wrong. Completely covered in Polaroids. Floor to ceiling. Thousands of them. All of me. Me sleeping. Me brushing my teeth. Me on the toilet. Me scrolling Twitter. Me watching analog horror on YouTube. Every photo taken from a slightly different angle. Like I was being watched by a room full of people, all pretending not to breathe at the same time. Pinned in the center of the attic wall, a photo of me screaming. Eyes wide, jaw unhinged. But I don't remember ever making that face. Behind me in the photo, in the mirror, there's something, a shape, black static blur, but the only thing clear in the reflection, a caption scratched in with blood, or ink, or something else. I don't want to guess. This is the last version. The house is remembering things I never did, photos of me in cities I've never been to, me at a wedding, me at a funeral, me holding a child I don't recognize. I touched one of the photos, and suddenly I remembered it. The people, the smells, the emotions. But I've never lived that day. Not in this life. I think the house is pulling versions of me from somewhere else. Or maybe it's compressing all my possible lives into one. And the other me is the version that's won this game before. I found the generator turned off this morning. No power, no hum, no backup, just dead silence. Scratched into the control box. He doesn't need light anymore. I hear my voice through the vents now. It says things I haven't said yet. I catch my own handwriting in the margins of books I haven't opened. Notes written in my tone, but warning me of things I haven't experienced. One note, scribbled in red pen in the back of an old family Bible. If he speaks with your voice long enough, God won't know the difference. I found the mirror room again. It was waiting. The mirror was uncovered, clean, not a smudge on the glass. And inside, not a reflection, but a door. Open, darkness behind it. A hallway like mine. Standing just inside was the other me. But this time, he didn't smile. He didn't move. He just whispered, "You're the echo now." Then he stepped through, into my side, and I stepped back, into the mirror. I didn't mean to. I don't know how it happened. I don't know if I wanted it to happen. It's quiet now. Too quiet. The house is still. But the version of me walking around now, the one who answers texts, the one who logs into my socials, the one who calls my job and says, "Hey, I'm fine, just taking some time away." That's not me. And I don't know how to get back. Edit. If you're reading this and the story sounds real, check your mirrors tonight. If your reflection is smiling when you're not, you're already halfway replaced. I don't remember writing the last post. I've read it 37 times, word for word, line for line. and I don't remember writing it, but it's in my style. It uses my thoughts. It ends exactly how I end things. The same voice, same fingerprint. But the person who wrote that, he knows more than I do now. I think he's further along. Or maybe I'm behind. I don't know what day it is anymore. The concept of days doesn't work inside this house. It's always twilight through the windows. The trees never move. The clouds never change. It feels like time stopped a few seconds before something horrible is about to happen and then got stuck on repeat. And the mirrors aren't mirrors anymore. They're open. I woke up inside one. I don't know how else to say it. I opened my eyes and the air was reversed, not backwards, inverted. The gravity was heavier. The sounds were hollow, like my ears were clogged, but worse. Every time I exhaled, the breath didn't fog the glass. It just disappeared, like the air didn't want to admit I was there. I was standing in the hallway, the mirror hallway, same length, same floor creaks, same buzzing lights, but on the other side of the glass was me, the one still in my house, the version who stepped out, the one with all the confidence, the one who fits into my clothes like they were made for him. He looked back through the glass, but his face didn't match mine anymore. The differences were small, too small for anyone else to notice. His eyebrows were just a little thicker, his teeth a little too white. He stood straighter, smiled longer. His voice had weight when he spoke. This won't take long. Then he reached out and touched the inside of the mirror, where I was, and I felt it. I don't think I'm supposed to be here. This version of the house, it's decomposing. The walls bleed light. The carpet pulses when I step. I hear familiar voices echoing in places they shouldn't be. Once, in the upstairs bedroom, I heard my third-grade teacher repeating the Pledge of Allegiance in reverse. In the kitchen, I heard my ex laughing, the exact same way she used to when I'd fake burn the cookies on purpose, except it looped. Same 5 seconds, over and over, and it never blinked. There are others here. I don't mean people, I mean versions. I've seen them, some with my face, some with variations of my face, older, younger, twisted. One had no mouth, just a skin-covered hole where lips should be, but I heard it speak anyway, inside my head. You were late. The others already folded. They moved through the halls like they've been living here longer than me. One passed me in the stairwell, dragging something wrapped in plastic. I looked down. It was breathing. The one dragging it smiled at me and said, "Don't worry. It's just a rehearsal." The basement in this version of the house is deeper. It stretches down into somewhere that doesn't obey geometry. Spirals, rooms made of mirrors facing each other, endless reflections that aren't synchronized. I watched one reflection move when I stood still. It blinked slowly. It tapped on the glass 3 times, then held up a handwritten sign. Only one can leave. And suddenly, I remembered rule number 7 again. Not just the words, the voice. How my dad used to say it, quietly, every time I'd try to ask questions. Don't talk to the other me, Trev. That's how he wins. That's how he climbs out. He didn't mean metaphorically. He meant it literally. Last night, I felt something happen. A shift. A trade. I heard my voice, not from inside, but from outside the house, talking to someone, laughing, eating, listening to music, living. I tried to scream, to bang on the walls, to force my way back. But this version of me, the one out there, he knows. He's making it look like I never left. He's posting on my socials. He's FaceTiming my friends. He's texting my aunt updates about the house. He's been sending her photos. Photos I don't remember taking. One of me standing on the roof of the house, waving. One of me in the mirror room, smiling calmly. One of me asleep, in a bed I haven't touched in weeks. I found my dad, or something that used to be him, down in the last room, past the spiral, past the red door, past the part of the house that flickers like it's glitching. There's a chair. In the chair is a figure. Same face. But the eyes are missing. Not gouged, not injured. Absent. Like the sockets never existed. He turned to me and said, "Did you feed the hatch?" I said no. He nodded slowly and whispered, "Then it's feeding itself now." His skin cracked open at the mouth. Light poured out. Not white light. Not holy or warm. Sterile. Cold. A projector light. And it played images across the wall. Me, as a child, tearing a drawing in half and laughing. Me, as a teen, watching someone drown on a live stream and doing nothing. Me, last month, looking into the mirror and smiling when no one was watching. He was showing me why I was chosen, why I was the perfect shape for the other me to wear, because I'd been feeding it all along. Here's what no one tells you about being replaced. You don't get dragged screaming into the dark. You get applauded. Every version of you that came before, the failures, the mirrors, the silent ones behind the glass. They clap, slow, methodical, like a standing ovation at the end of a play they've all seen before. And then the house locks the door. I can't remember my middle name anymore. My hands don't feel like mine. I found a note in my handwriting that just said, "Don't answer if your own voice calls." That isn't help. That's bait. The pantry hatch is open again. Something's crawling out. I hear bones popping. It whispers to me in my exact voice, "You can rest now." I'm already better final entry. I don't know who I am anymore. The person who posts this, if it even posts, isn't the one who started this. That version is gone, absorbed, edited, polished into something else. If you've ever caught your reflection blinking at the wrong time, if your smile looks a little too good in photos, if your friends ever say, "You seem different lately," you're already on the list. Just don't speak. Don't answer the voice that sounds like you. Don't look into the mirror when it feels warm. And if he ever steps through, don't run. He's faster when you're afraid. Edit. I can see you reading this. I'm behind your screen now, smiling, almost blinking in sync.